Angela Merkel would be happy to see the EU compromise on fishing rights in order to safeguard German car imports to the UK, and will have made her position quite clear to French President Emmanuel Macron, a former MEP has said, and Hans-Olaf Henkel said the impact of failing to strike a deal would be felt across all sectors of the European economy, warning such an outcome would be a disaster. With barely a month to go before the end of the transition period, post-Brexit access to British waters remains a key sticking point, with Mr. Macron digging his heels in, mindful of protecting the interests of France's sizable fishing industry. However, for Germany, which has a far smaller coastline, the issue is far less important, in a clear illustration of differing priorities among the EU 27. Former German MEP Mr. Henkel, who stepped down from the European Parliament last year, told Express he was in doubt as to whether Mrs. Merkel would back Mr. Macron on the issue of fishing rights if it came to the crunch, even though fishing was very important in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, which is the state which she represents in the German Bundestag parliament. He also suggested Mrs. Merkel would have discussed the matter, and made her views clear, in private conversations with Mr. Macron, stressing the importance of striking a deal as the deadline approaches. Mr. Henkel was unfazed by reports emerging from Brussels that any agreement could be implemented by the European Commission prior to the European Parliament getting full oversight. He said, any chaos as a result of a late deal would be dwarfed by the catastrophic effects of a no deal. Of course the European Parliament should sign any deal off, even if it meant they vote on it on December 31. COVID-19 gave them enough time to practice such votes via the internet if necessary. Mr. Henkel also referred to a report published this week by the European Apparel and Textile Confederation, Eurotex, this week suggesting more than 100,000 jobs in the industry could be lost in the event of a no-deal outcome. He said, textiles is just one example of an industry suffering from Brexit both in the EU and Britain.